words. Um, this picture is worth 1,000 words. These beagles were rescued, 4,000 of them, from the Envigo facility in Virginia. They were rescued from absolutely abysmal, inhumane conditions, and now they have good homes, but only after the Department of Justice intervened with an injunction and then settled the case. And I want to give an enormous amount of credit and thanks to the Humane Society of the United States and to the new owners who have adopted them. I'm going to be quick because I'm not sure of the attention span of our four-legged guests, but I can guarantee their attention span is longer than that of most senators. So I want to welcome Kitty Block and Sarah Amundsen of the Humane Society of the United States. Will soon be joined by my colleague, John Kennedy of Louisiana. Mike Quigley, whose leadership in the House is so integral, will not be able to join us because of what's happening over there. And I can tell you, if these folks were in charge, they'd have a speaker by now. I want to welcome Cricket, Mila, Oliver, Millie, and their friends. And this is truly a joyous occasion. But it is joyous only because of enforcement by the Department of Justice. What we're trying to do in the Better Care for Animals Act is essentially give the Department of Justice the tools it needs to effectively protect animals. I'm an enforcement guy. Most of my career has been spent in enforcing the law as a prosecutor, first as a federal United States attorney and then as Attorney General of Connecticut. And we all know the law is dead letter unless it is effectively enforced. And that's what we need in the area of animal protection. Right now, the Department of Agriculture can enforce the law, but it lacks the resources to do it and, frankly, the expertise. Only the Department of Justice can afford truly effective remedies in federal court against the kind of breeders, exhibitors, dealers who abuse or neglect animals. We all know this mistreatment is ongoing. It is unacceptable. And we need the Department of Justice in court to get civil penalties, to get license revocation, to do forfeiture so the dogs are taken away. None of those remedies was available to the Department of Justice in this case. The dogs were rescued because of an injunction that was sought and then a settlement that was pursued. We need more effective remedies to protect these dogs against the blatant kind of abuse, putting profits above the welfare of these animals. And we're talking about basic well-being, health and safety of animals who need and deserve care and protection. I'll just close by saying I think we are measured as a society by how we care for these kinds of animals. We are accountable for how we protect animals in our society, and we owe them better than we're providing right now. The Department of Justice can be on the job. We need a cop on the beat to protect animals, and only the Department of Justice, with civil penalties and other kinds of effective action in court, can provide that kind of cop on the beat to protect animals against the abhorrent mistreatment and abuse that Envigo imposed. And it's happening all around the country. It's rampant, prevalent in every part of the country. The Department of Justice has to be the enforcer and the cop on the beat. And with that, I want to turn to Kitty Block, and we're going to have Senator Kennedy join us at some point.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Incredibly well said, and incredibly grateful to you, Senator Blumenthal, for all you've done for animals, the ones here and everywhere else in the country. So thank you so much. I may have to let Oliver speak in a minute. So he wants a mic. I know a dog who wants a mic, so I will yield the floor at some point. I just want to take a moment to, of course, talk about why we're here today. We are here for these amazing dogs behind me, and because of the Better Care for Animals Act. Their journey, their stories are linked. As you've heard the senator say, it is so important that there is enforcement of the laws that exist to protect animals. And I couldn't be more grateful to Senator Blumenthal, Senator Kennedy, when I hope he is able to get here, Representatives Reschenthaler and Quigley. They are the leads. They are the leads making this difference, making this impact. I want to thank the families who are here today, who have brought these animals, rescued them, and given them their incredible forever homes. Humane Society of the United States was there when we got a call from Department of Justice. I remember my colleague saying, "Can you help with 4,000 rescued beagles?" And I was like, "Come again? What is that number?" But the sad thing is, there are so many dogs like the ones behind me. There are thousands of animals in these breeding facilities all over the country. Envigo is raising them for testing that were going to be fanned out throughout the country. What the Department of Justice found at the Envigo facility in Cumberland, Virginia, was terrible. As you've heard, mother beagles were deprived food, puppies died from exposure. There was little to no veterinary care. That's unacceptable. It is on all of us. It is on the federal government to make this change. We have to be able to enforce the laws that we have. And again, it's not just breeding facilities for animal testing around the country. It's puppies in puppy mills and their moms. It's wild animals in roadside zoos. The list goes on and on. It cannot be the job of one agency to do this work. It's impossible. It's impossible. What the Better Care for Animals Act does is make it accountable for another agency to step in, have the tools they need to do the enforcement. Department of Justice has shown their willingness and their mettle to step in and help. We've got to make it easier. We have got to pass this legislation so we can help not just beagles like these and others, but so many animals around the country that need the enforcement to be able to survive and live a life they deserve. So thank you. I don't see Senator Kennedy here yet, so I will turn this. Yes? It's coming. All right, I might just do a little say hi to the beagles. Senator Kennedy is approaching, and thank you for staying with us, because I also want to make sure that you hear from my colleague, Sarah Amundsen, who is president of Humane Society Legislative Fund. So, Senator.
Oh, you are such a sweetie. All these people. Come here.
We'll call on Sarah if you're not ready to go forward.
Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, you want me to go next?
You go
Yeah.
next. Please, Senator.
The floor is yours.
I really. Oh, there you go. Tell them. Trash talk them. This is an important bill. It's important to me personally because I like dogs and animals better than people on a bad day. And I tell some of my friends in the press when I'm walking over in the morning, they'll try to ask me a question. And I'll tell them, I'm only talking to my dog today, and that's it. You know, how we treat God's creatures of a different species tells a lot about the character of us as members of our species, and frankly of us as Americans. I love beagles. I had a beagle. His name was Roger, and Roger was a rabbit dog, and Roger got lost on a scent one day and showed up at my house, and we took Roger in. We had Roger for 15 years. When I lost him. Roger was a rascal. He would he'd run outside any chance he got, and he'd run off for 2 or 3 days, and I'd be worried to death that Roger something happened to him. And he would go out, and we lived near some open acreage, and to mask his scent, Roger would roll in cow manure to mask his scent. And he would hunt for 2 or 3 days, and then he'd come back home just staggering, and whatever he had in his mouth, he'd hide under the porch in my backyard. And I loved Roger. God, I cried like a baby when we lost him. One of God's creatures. We already have a law to protect our animals, and that is supposed to put animal welfare first. But the law's not being enforced. There are a lot of reasons for that. I don't want to fuss too much at my friends at the Department of Justice, but they can do a better job. And what Senator Blumenthal and I are trying to do is give them the tools to do a better job, to put our animals first. They deserve no less. And that's why I'm on this bill, and that's why I really do appreciate you coming out today. Okay?
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Well said. Good job. Sarah?
Thank you, Senator. I will be brief because much has been said. Look, the bottom line is Americans love our animals. 66% of homes have pets, at least one pet. In addition, just last year we spent $168 billion on animals. That's how much we love them. Not everybody has a Roger, but I am sure we're desirous of one. The bottom line is USDA as an agency cannot enforce the Animal Welfare Act in the most appropriate fashion. It really requires the leadership of these 4 members of Congress. And keep in mind, they're not just U.S. senators and U.S. representatives. You've got a former attorney general, a former special counsel to his governor, a Navy JAG judge, and an attorney that recently helped pass the Big Cat Public Safety Act with Senator Blumenthal. Thank you very much. And part of what this bill is going to do is ensure that those bad actors you saw in Tiger King no longer own those big cats, but also for any other animals they own. If they get themselves in trouble under the Animal Welfare Act, the Department of Justice will have a new toolkit to crack down on them. So I say to you, in this confrontational time here on Capitol Hill, this is a bipartisan, bicameral effort to ensure that animals are protected the way that you and I want them to be. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. We're happy to take your questions. And you can ask questions for some of our friends here too. There's an old saying in Washington, if you want a friend, get a dog. And I think we're proving the truth of it, but I would just close on the note that Sarah raised. At a time of dysfunction and division, we ought to be able to come together to protect animals and to make sure that our laws are effectively enforced. So penalties for people who break the law, license revocation to stop lawbreakers from continuing, and effective measures to deter these kinds of violations. That's all that we're seeking, and it is totally bipartisan. I think we are all really invested and engaged because I can't imagine a better cause. We have about 6 members of the Senate and I don't know the precise number of the house, but we've just introduced it, and I expect that support will be building. A lot going on in the world right now, obviously, but we're going to try to focus attention on this measure. Okay.
More important than this, though. If you know senators, talk to them. Shame them. Make them feel bad. There's no reason we can't pass this. It's the right thing.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.